Welcome, race fans, to the 2019 Canadian Flat Track Championships. Mark Travers and Brian Coster in the booth as we get set for round two from the Welland County Speedway in Welland, Ontario. Great turnout tonight, and they are going to be seeing some dynamic racing. Have a look at that dirt track. Today's racing will be brought to you by Parts Canada. Parts Canada, we support the sport. And if you're a rider looking to outfit yourself from head to toe, think no further than Thor. Redefining expectations in MX gear. Now, Brian, let's talk about the sport of flat track racing. You and I were talking about how old and how long this sport has been around.
That's right, Mark. The earliest motorcycle races recorded history down the USA is oval flat track racing. Huge sport down the States, making a big resurgence and coming into its own in Canada with Flat Track Canada putting on a dynamic series right across the country. And you can see from these highlights, the racers, they mean business and they have a lot of fun. But it is serious fun out on the track. You see Canada's best going round and round.
Well, Fabs, there's no doubt that guys and gals love to race motorcycles. And when you put them in the tight confines of these dirt tracks, sliding around those left-hand turns, there is a ton of excitement generated. Now, interesting, this is actually round two of the 2019 series. Let's have a look at the 9-round 2019 race schedule, Fabs.
Yeah, Quebec was round one. Tonight, Welland, Leamington. We get into some beautiful horse racing facilities, as you can see on that schedule. Big, fast half miles.
Now, Fabs, we saw on the schedule that the first round was in Trois-Rivières in Quebec. Now, the thing that's interesting about this, well, we always know when we go to Quebec, there's always going to be some great racing and a huge turnout, a much bigger track. But flat tracking in general, it's almost a full-day event where you have qualifying heats, amateurs, full package.
Yeah, it's fantastic. ATVs, you got the kids out there, and you can see from these images some of the specialized motorcycles. Two classes, DTX, basically a 450 motocross bike, lowered, converted to these ovals, and then we get into our open class where, yeah, there's a good look. Kurt Bigard working on what we call framers. Basically just a custom-built frame, a big old 4-stroke engine tossed in there, and they are true custom flat track machines.
Now, Brian, like most forms of racing in Canada, it's all about development. And that's why when you come to a race like this, you're seeing a multitude of classes, especially the younger kids. That's how we get them involved in the sport.
Oh, it's so fun to watch the kids grow and progress and just get faster with every season and aspire to get up through to the intermediate and pro ranks. Out here in Quebec, a big, fast half mile. The riders have a lot of room to drift and slide that motorcycle. And let's remember, no front brake on any of these two-wheeled machines. They just tap that rear brake, sometimes set up the slide, and it is all about the Kuyangas.
All right, we have DTX Expert on the line, Brian, getting ready for their main event. As you see the sun going down, the lights are going to come on, and we are going to get set up for the premier classes of racing here tonight. Welland County Speedway, Brian, you talked about the history. They've been racing here a long time. It's going to be a dynamic night.
And every time there's a race here, the crowds come out in droves to support it. A real fun night. Great food and festivities. And to see the action, it's race after race after race. It is non-stop. And next, DTX Final.
Welcome back to the Welland County Speedway for round two of the 2019 Canadian Flat Track Championships. Mark Travers and Brian Coster in the booth as we get set for DTX Expert, or Pro, if you will, Brian. Now, we're going to see two main classes of racing tonight. That's DTX and Open, and that's more related to the size of the class of the bike that's on the field.
Yeah, in the DTX, it's limited to those. Basically, they're all running 450 motocross bikes. You can see how much lower they are. They get to run this real cool down pipe, which really elevates the horsepower. A real tuner's game out here because you want to get that start. And who doesn't want to hold? Yeah.
You got that right, Babs. Okay, after one of 9 rounds in the DTX Expert class, here is our points to date. Brown, last year's champion in the lead. Buchan was our 2017 champion in second. Pouliot's looking pretty good on the outside, and he's been very fast, so we're going to see him pressing for the lead. Riders lined up on those 4 lines based on their heat or qualifying times, Brian, but it's important to be up front because you want to get a great start. As you said, yeah.
A lot going on throughout the day leading into the night program. This first DTX Expert race brought to you by Honda, Ride Red, and our series champion, Dustin Brown, switching from Yamaha to Honda this year. Very fitting.
So we're going to keep our eyes on the number 1, inside right. Light goes green, Brian, coming to that first left-hander. Who's going to get that whole shot?
And oh man, another previous champion, Dougie Lawrence on the 73, cutting right over to that inside line. We're on board with Brown on the Alpine Stars helmet cam. Look at that, tucking inside track, close proximities.
But you got to have the big onions if you want to race flat track, because it's all about powering into the corner. Who's going to get on the brakes the latest and working that slide?
And nice shot there of Lawrence, working the track, sitting a little further back.
Whoa.
Challenged in by Seguin. Seguin, the local boy, Tyler on the 22. We saw in the preview race that little fender tap. Seguin has a nice line. They're getting close contact.
Interesting note about Seguin, he was drafted by the Bruins, Brian, plays for the Dallas Stars. Now he's out here racing DTX Expert on the inside of Lawrence. Great action out here in Welland already.
On board with young prodigy Hunter Bauer on the Honda is sitting 6th place. Look at the action right there with Cody Wells and the Hoy. They are battling hard, but for the lead, it is all about Seguin taking over from Dougie Lawrence.
Did you see how aggressive he was coming out of that turn, Brian, when he stole the lead? Lawrence cutting back on the inside, regains the lead. Again, we're talking about the Kuyangs, Brian. They are so close coming around that corner, and the slide is so important as they come around.
Both these riders have a lot of laps out here. Dougie with that one-piece Kevlar skin suit, super light. A lot of the riders wearing leathers, morphing down to motocross gear nowadays. Look at that slide. What style. Hunter Bauer, the 24, 14 years old, racing with the men. This kid's got a future.
The danger man in this lead package, Brian, is the number 1 of Brown. You see him coming in, showing a wheel to Sagan. Let's see how that battle erupts. Back to Wells and Brown. Look at these two going bar to bar, Brian. This is spectacular.
Fans at the edge of the seat right now, enjoying the sights and smells of Flat Track Canada. Dustin Brown with that Alpine Stars helmet cam, taking a peek up the inside on the blue groove, drifting out into the cushion. It is Brown with a stylish pass.
Now back to Bauer on that Alpine Stars action cam. He's going inside on Wells, and look at how greasy it is on the inside, Brian. Super slick.
Yeah, the shiny part, that is the main groove, and these riders are laying the rubber right down. It gets grippier throughout the night. The track is a living being. They add water, they dry it out. It's a bit of a black art to get the course down to racing condition, but these guys, they all adapt to what they're given. Dougie Lawrence coming in on the final lap with a nice lead. Of course, Dougie venturing off into road racing, as a lot of the road racers have their roots in oval, flat track, learning how to control the motorcycle, taking the checkers on that 450 Honda. Dougie Lawrence, the crowd loves this kid.
Dynamite start for Lawrence, and he basically got the lead, held onto it all the way to the finish. Here's your top 10 in our DTX Expert Final for round 2. Lawrence, Brown, Sagan, Bauer, Wells, Evans, Isherwood, McCullough, Pouliot, and Maryland round out the top 10. Fabs is in the impound.
The number 73, Dougie Lawrence, the third. Doug, what a ride out there. A great win for you here on this Honda.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been a long day. I think I got too many friends here. I've been my stomach's been uneasy all night. This is my honey hole, you know. I always do well here, and man, we got this thing back to what's been rock solid for years, to set up on this bike, and finally got back to that point in that main event, and felt good, man. Felt real good.
Current and defending champion Dustin Brown switching from Yamaha to Honda. Dustin, what a night. You look great on the bike. We've seen you have great battles with Lawrence last year. I think you still got something in the tank for him for the rest of the races.
Oh yeah, for sure I do. We just didn't hit the quite right setup. We changed the back tire before the main, and it didn't work as good as we thought, but it's still progress, and we still came away with a solid finish, and we're still the points leader.
Welland's own Tyler Seguin. Tyler, third place here in the final. You're looking racy all night. You have to be pleased with that.
Yeah, I was feeling really good. We went in the first couple of laps, and I was right there for the lead, and I did make a move on Doug, and he got me back, and after that, I just made a few mistakes, and Dustin was able to get up to us, and you know, it was just a couple mistakes that I need to work on for the next race, and I'll see them again soon.
Great job, Fabs. Okay, let's get caught up in the points after 2 of 9 rounds in that DTX Expert class. Brown leading the charge now with a good lead over Bauer, but some good battles down in that little midsection. A lot of racing left to go in this class. It's going to be good. Okay, Fabs, as we talked about, an evening of flat track racing is made up of multiple races. Now, this is the DTX Intermediate class, and this is the class that racers race in just before they go into Pro or Expert. Now, tonight's DTX Intermediate highlight is going to be brought to you by Yamaha Motor Canada. They're the Blue Crew, Brian. They support motorcycle racing all across Canada. Look at all the riders we have in this intermediate class, and it's a great start. Again, this track, we were talking about how much detail they put into the preparation of the track. There's no bumps or grooves out there other than the main line groove that they race on.
Yeah, it does get a little bumpy here and there depending on the night and how the track develops. You can see that groove where the blue rubber is laid down. That's the optimum traction. It does look shiny. They do get a good slide there. And on that outer edge where it gets soft as a cushion, you kick up a little dust.
You know, the one thing I'm interested in right now is tire selection, because it's not like a motocross tire or even a road racing tire like a slick. They have a specific tire that's made specifically for this.
And a great point. And another black art is the tire tuning. Mechanics having tire groovers. They actually put a new edge and they actually melt and dig into the tire to get that tire fit for the finals. So a lot of stuff going on in the pits, maybe more so than some other forms of motorcycle racing.
Right, let's talk about balance. In most of the forms of racing we cover, there's an intense balance between the rider, the machine, and the environment or the track. And nowhere else is it more important in this sport because of how tight these racers are riding together and how slick and how fast this track is.
And you can just see there the Kawasaki of Adam Jabouri kick out, and things can happen quickly if you're following real close and someone slides out, contact occurs, and you can have huge pile-ups. Very dangerous and a very high speed. Here in Welland, it's basically called more of a short track. Great battling going on the DTX Intermediate class. Good racing throughout. Jabouri has a background from motocross to road racing and here in flat track.
Looks like Wilson made that pass for third on the outside. Now it's interesting because you always would think on a short track like this that the inside would be the best line, but I think what you have to do is find other options. And that groove looks to be about 2 bikes wide.
Sometimes to make the pass, you get right in the draft and just tuck right in behind someone and then break the draft coming into the turn, try and get the pass done. Of course, it's all executed in the corners. Going down those straights, everyone's just wide open, but it's where you initiate your turn or slide in, and it can vary with the depth of the turns, depending on the racetrack, how much room the guys have to dive deep or square off, cut in early and try to undercut the rider in front of them. Great view of that down pipe. Of course, in motocross, you would never have a pipe hanging down like that. But here in the DTX Intermediate flat track, you can run that pipe down, enables the tuners to get more horsepower out of these 450s.
Brown coming up and taking his last lap flag, Brian. He's been in the lead since the start of this DTX Intermediate race and really holding his own. I love the style that he has. He's back on the rear wheel, getting that traction right down to the ground. And again, most of these flat track riders, elbows high, coming to the corner, just the way you ride your motocross bike, Fabs.
You know, I like to lead with the elbow. A good point here with Brown. That is Dustin Brown's brother and sharing the same motorcycle. So you see that a lot in this sport of flat track. Riders sharing bikes throughout the family range and victory wheelie.
Nice job, Tyler Brown, taking the win. Okay, here's your top 10 in the DTX Intermediate. Corbet, Wilson, Lambert. Like to go down to the 9th place finisher. That's Kyle Shepard on the Husqvarna. Actually won the qualifier. Brian didn't have the race that he wanted in this intermediate, but he'll be back. We know for sure. Okay, Open Expert on the line, Brian, and a great visual of the different styles of motorcycles we're seeing out there. The framers, as you call them, and a couple of modified motocross bikes.
Yeah, most guys have a couple of bikes, one of each, but bikes break during the day, so it all mixes up. Open Expert final next.
Welcome back to round 2 of the 2019 Canadian Flat Track Championships. Mark Travers and Brian Coster in the booth, and we are at the famous Welland County Speedway as we get set for Open Expert. Great shot of the number 15. That's Captain America, Chris Evans, on that gorgeous Harley. We see our Open Expert riders on the lines based on qualifying positions from earlier heats during the day. Now, Brian, this is round 2 of the series. Let's go back to Trois-Rivières and catch up what happened in the Open Expert race at round 1. It was a beauty. Brown out the middle. He missed up and did not get the whole shot. But again, look at the size of this track and the way that these huge numbers of riders are going into the corner.
It's so thrilling out on these big half-mile horse tracks. Look at Hunter Bauer way out in the cushion, losing a few positions and getting back in the mix, coming back onto the back straight. Over 100 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen. That's 160K as they come into turn 1.
Now, Brown did not get that great start, Brian, as we saw, but he worked his way up into this top package, and it made it a 3-pack, and he got super aggressive and made 2 passes on 1 play.
Brown is just an awesome rider, a great presence in the pits as well. And can you believe the lead Brown has amassed from that fumbling start? He's passed them all.
Look at the battle for a second. 3 abreast coming in. You talk about those 2 riders on the high line up in the cushion where you know it's soft, Brian. You can see the cushion down there, down to your left.
The 24 of Bauer, solid in second, and homeboy Dave Pouliot on the 16 Kawasaki, sitting in 3rd place. He's a ripper.
Now, Brian, the end of the race got interesting. Brown had a problem. Bauer comes in on the inside, makes the pass, and then they get the last lap flag, and look at that outside line for Brown. He was on the pipe.
He is so comfortable on that Kurt Beeger prepared Honda, and he just pulls it out. Can do no wrong here. And there's Kurt, the iconic tuner out of Northern Hamilton, getting on the back. A bit of a tradition here to do the victory lap with the tuner holding the checkers. What a duo these two are making for 2019.
Okay, so some great racing at round 1, and here are the points in the Open Expert class after the 1 of 9 rounds. Of course, Brown, Bauer, and Pouliot, your top 3. Pouliot had a great race, but he won't be here at Welland tonight. A couple of names in there, Evans, McCullough. Don't forget about Pickle in 10th.
Wow, that was exciting action from Quebec back in Welland for the Open Expert final race of the night here at round 2. Nice shot of the field as they qualified, all lined up. The 15 of Chris Evans. There he is right on the inside on that Harley Davidson. Beside him, young Hunter Bauer and our previous champion, number 1, Dustin Brown. This final race brought to you by Harley Davidson Motorcycles, a huge cog in Canadian flat track racing.
They've been involved in this sport for a long time. The light goes green and Open Expert coming to that first corner. Who's going to get the whole shot?
Nice move for Dustin Brown. Pouliot sniffing around the inside. But it is the 15 Harley rider of Evans right there, and the local boy Seguin on board with Bauer. Drives that Alpine Stars helmet and wheel action. Wow. There's Lawrence sneaking through.
Lawrence with a great line, goes inside to outside, makes a pass, but he's still mired up in that pack. Moving up to our lead battle, the number 1 of Brown with an almost outside line. Evans with that dog and pony show following a little bit, Brian, in that groove, and Lawrence is now up to 4th place right behind Sagan.
Man, amazing footage right here. We're on board with Bauer, but did you see Brown working that motorcycle? Nice pass. No, Pouliot shuts the door, and he loses one out the soft stuff.
Hunter Bauer got into that cushion, Brian. You know what they say, the softer the cushion, the harder the pushing. So he has to regain that line and get back into it.
And push they do on that front end to get the trajectory they want. We can really see these riders working the motorcycle through those apexes. Battle for the lead is getting hot. Evans is taking a peek. There comes Lawrence on Seguin. 2 riders with a lot of local experience makes the move as Seguin gets sucked out into the soft stuff. Back on board with young Hunter Bauer coming in on the inside of the Kawasaki rider out of Quebec. On the inside, though, the number 9, Jimmy the Jet McCullough, all elbows as he squeaks by Bauer.
Running the Alpenstars gear, Brian, very fitting on that pass as we were on board with the Alpenstars Action Camp. The battle for the lead is hot, hot, hot. Look at Evans trying just about everything to get around Brown. But one thing I like about Brown is his defense in those corners is great because he's using the whole corner.
Both riders dabbing and really working the handlebars. Wow. It is getting tight. Evans Another previous champion. A decade or more ago with all kinds of experience. Up again, the young, brash Brown, just on the cusp of 18 years of age. And wow, a clash of titans out front. Dougie Lawrence, a bit of a late start, starting to push in. The race was abbreviated due to some complications earlier in the night, so Dougie, too little too late to get in this lead group.
Wow, it's so impressive how you really have to keep the power to the ground. Look at the inside for Evans. Is he going to get into the checker flag? Oh, my! One wheel separates Brown and Evans as they get the checkered flag. What an impressive win for the number 1 of Brown. Welcome back to the Welland County Speedway in round 2 of the 2019 Canadian Flat Track Championships. Mark Travers and Brian Coster at the booth as we see our open expert riders coming off the track. What a race we had here in Welland. Here's your top 10 from that amazing expert race. Brown and Evans and Lawrence, your top 3. An absolute beauty. Brian Coster is down in the impound with our top 3. Fabs, take it.
Defending his championship, Dustin Brown on the Kurt Beeger machine here in the open class. Expert, man, good win. Tough battle out there.
Yeah, it was good. I got the whole shot and just tried to run the laps I knew I could run up high and fast, and it worked perfect on this Honda KBR framer. Can't thank them enough. I would not be here without them.
Second place, Chris Evans, hard fought. Looks like you could have had that win. Great battling. You got a lot in the tank. It's a long series.
What's that? Yeah, well, these kids get on the gas pretty hard. A racetrack like this, I can outfox them sometimes, but when we get to the real nasty racetracks, then I struggle a little more than I do here.
Well, it's been a pleasure watching you race, and these young guys got to keep their eyes in the mirror for Chris Evans.
You bet.
Previous champion here in Canada, Dougie Lawrence, settling for 3rd on the abbreviated race. Dougie, you look pretty good. Just too little too late for that win.
Yeah, you know, my heat race haunted me. I wasn't going so good in my heat race. Cost me a front row start, started from the second, and man, I felt good. Like, just unfortunately the race was cut short due to a long night and a few unfortunate crashes, but you know what? I felt okay. I'm ready to come back for the next one.
All right, let's get to our points after 2 of 9 rounds in this 2019 championship. Brown is starting to pull away slightly on Bauer and Evans. Sagan's in the mix. Poulat, some great names and a lot of great racing left to go to the end of this season. Fabs, what a great day we've had here. There's our top 3 in open expert.
All smiles in the winner's circle. From left to right, we've got Dustin Brown, Chris Evans, and Dougie Lawrence.
Nice job, Fabs. What a night you have been watching the 2019 Canadian Flat Track Championships. Brought to you by Parts Canada. At Parts Canada, we support the sport. And Thor, redefining expectations in MX gear. For Brian Coster, I'm Mark Travers. It's been a great round 2 of racing here in Welland. We'll see you next week in Leamington, and then we'll follow up in Flamborough. This is the 2019 Flat Track Championships.